I have to warn you, I will use stupid sound effects.
Okay, that's fine. Hey, I'm here to have fun, just like you.
Awesome. I am here with John Keefer, the former managing editor of GameSpy, a dear old friend, my old boss, and a great man. And it's really an honor to be hanging out with you today, John. How are things?
Things are going good under the circumstances. I, you know, now for my first major announcement, I've got COVID, but luckily I'm doing okay. I had the vaccine, and I'm just going through symptoms of very bad flu.
Ah,
So luckily, I'm feeling a little fatigued, but I couldn't miss talking to you, my friend. So like, I'm here. If I do fall asleep, just nudge me a little bit, but we're good.
that has happened when I've spoken to people before. So I will blame the COVID and not.
Yeah, there we go. And not your interview style.
Yes. For people that want a general health update, how have you been prior to catching COVID? You've recently gotten back to work.
Yeah. For those that don't know, I was diagnosed with cancer back on July 11th of last year. Not prostate, but colon cancer. They had to remove the entire right side of my colon. Um, and it was one of those things where I didn't even know that I had it. It wasn't, so it was. I go into the ER with some abdominal pain, and 36 hours I'm in surgery having my colon removed.
Wow.
And I went through chemotherapy for 6 months. It was early stage 3, so they caught it in time. Um, six 6 months of chemo, and after that, I was out of work, obviously during the chemo, because boy, that totally messes with your immune system, lots of side effects. But I finally started going back to work in February of this year. I'm working in retail right now, and I'm still going in for checkups. My 3 month checkup after chemo shows everything's clean.
Great.
So the good news is that I'm still feeling a few minor side effects from the chemo. They should last for maybe about 6 to 9 months. But other than that, I'm still here. So able to
Yes.
be on your show, and so it's a good thing.
Now you had moved. You're back in Florida. When we worked together, we were both in California. How are things in Florida? You went to school there. You worked there. Lived there for a long time.
Yeah,
Is
as a matter of fact,
it
besides
back?
my time in California, I've lived in Florida most of my life.
Right.
I was born in Ohio, but we moved down to Florida when I was 5. My father worked for NASA, and so we moved down to a little town called Titusville, which was right across from the Kennedy Space Center.
Okay.
And so I've lived in Florida almost all my life, except for the 7 years, which I lived in California working for GameSpy.
Now let's talk about GameSpy.
Okay.
I had an excellent few years there. You were there longer than I was. What were some of your favorite parts about working for GameSpy?
Oh, geez. I loved GameSpy will always hold a favorite place in my heart, because that was my very first gaming job. I worked. I was in the newspaper business for about 20 years
Yeah.
at the time that GameSpy hired me. And prior to that, I was doing freelance work because I wanted, I was playing video games and really had no creative outlet for it. The newspaper, I worked for really wasn't interested in doing a lot of video game coverage, because at the time it was very peripheral. It was, nerds. It was not
Yeah.
mainstream by any stretch of the imagination. And so I started doing a little freelance work for GameSpy. I was Shy This and Fargo were giving me little jobs. And I remember one time where, the full page of GameSpy was like 5 stories that I had written. So it's like I held the entire front page of GameSpy at one time. And I really loved that job, because they hired me in January of 2000. Dakota, Darren Tabor, hired me. And like I said, at first I was like a deer in the headlights because I knew games, but being surrounded by people who were living and breathing it, I was coming at it from a journalistic side. That's why they hired me. They wanted to try to bring some credibility to other than just fanboys writing about games. And so you guys provided me the fanboy perspective. I provided you guys with the journalistic perspective. And it was
you were also the adult. Let's be honest.
Well, yeah, that's true because I shouldn't say it that way. At the time, I was the old fart in the room. I still am the old fart in the room. I think I was 40. Let's see, 2000. So that's 22 years ago. Yeah, I was 42.
See, so, I don't think of you. I never thought of you as the old fart of the room. As I don't know. I always thought you were like our camp counselor, and we were a bunch of
boys, don't do that. Don't do that. Stop pulling hell chick's hair.
Oh, and for the people that weren't familiar with GameSpy or aren't familiar with GameSpy, a lot of it was based in first-person shooter culture. So we all referred to each other by the handles that we used in the game. So John was Warrior. I was Silencer. Who else do we work with? What was Bryn was
hardcore pawn.
Pawn, that's right.
Yeah. And Dave Kozak was Fargo.
That's right.
Chris Beekler was Shidus. Karen Law was Hellchick. Jamie Madigan was Thripped. Remember the Bill the Cat? Whenever he'd stick his tongue out and he made that sound.
Oh, I did not know that's where it was from.
Yeah. And let's see. Joost Loyens was Silver Dawn.
Silver Dawn, yeah.
So I'm trying to think who I'm missing.
James Neal was Tough Cookie.
Tough Cookie. God, so many. James Caddick was Tetsuo. And of course, our CEO was Mark Surface, who was Freshmaker. Of course, I think he went by Bastard at the beginning, but then changed that when he got into more business dealings. But yeah, so we had a wide variety of names. At the time, like I said, since I was in journalism, and wasn't into first-person shooters, I really didn't have a game name, and I was told in no uncertain terms that when I joined the company, I had to have a game name. So it's like I'm racking my brain trying to figure out what name I should go by. And at the time, I was very much into the RTS game Total Annihilation, and they had just started weekly downloadable units, and their very first downloadable unit was the Warrior. So I said, sure, why not? So I became Warrior.
So Warrior is the fault of Chris Taylor, like most things in this world.
Chris is a great guy.
Oh, he's awesome. He was the first.
Chris is amazing. I mean, because I love Total Annihilation so much, it was getting to meet him and talk to him for the first time. When you're coming in as managing editor for a game site, you actually have a little bit of clout. So getting to meet Chris Taylor for the first time, I was like, I had to do everything I could not to go all fanboy on him. But like I said, it was very hard to keep professional. But then as time passed, we became really good friends. I still keep in touch with him every once in a while, so that's good.
One of the funniest people I've met ever in my entire life, Chris Taylor, just hilarious guy, and so many great stories.
Chris is fun. He'll throw things at you that'll just kind of make you stop. What did you just say? It was funny because I was up at the time his company was Cave Dog, or not Cave Dog, Gas Powered Games, and we were talking, and he said, "Now we're going to really open the kimono here," and I'm going like, "Okay, that's a new way of saying we're going to be open about things." So. I think Chris a lot of times just like to shock you just to see what you react to.
Oh my God. 100% yes, absolutely. So as you were saying, you joined GameSpy in 2000. I came in about, I believe, 2002, and
Yeah, you were head of. Oh my God, no, you didn't just do that.
I
Oh, that's awesome.
this was the console team at GameSpy.
You were head of the entire console team.
From left to right, it's Bryn Williams, me, Christian Nutt, and Alex.
Yes.
So,
And Alex was in charge of PlayStation.
yeah.
Bryn was in charge of Nintendo at the time, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And Christian was in charge of Xbox.
Even though he hated Xbox.
Yeah. And I think you just told me Christian's working at Nintendo now.
Yeah, that's right. He is.
Wow.
He is.
Yeah, it's funny to see so many of our journalist compadres now going to the dark side.
Well, I mean, a lot of it is by choice, but some of it is not. I do want to get into that with you later on whether there's any ageism in video game journalism, but I want to talk about. Actually, no. Let's do that now. A long time ago, I was having drinks with Johnny Wilson, and wow, check this out! It's Mr. James Fudge. Hello,
James. Sir. Hey, buddy.
So James used to work with us and worked with John for even longer for other outlets. He's a great man. He's also a lover of Filipino food and culture. So special place in my heart for James.
Yeah, James and I have followed each other. We're kind of like a tag team in the sense that if you hire one of us, you end up hiring both of us. So we've been together at like four different gigs now. So
wow, that's great. I knew there were three. What were the four? You were a GameSpy, the esports
observer. Where you're okay. Just that quick. One of them is slipping my mind, but he and I are working together now on just doing some presentations for PR people on how to deal with game press and influencers and things like that. So like I said, Crispy Gamer. How can I forget Crispy Gamer? Yeah, I remembered it, James. Thanks. So yeah.
In the ESA.
That's right. We did work at the ESA. So I guess that's 5. Yeah, I was working at Games Politics. I was working at James handled Games Politics, and I was handling a part of the one of the websites that no longer is there anymore. That one slips my mind, but yeah, we worked at the ESA together as well, handling gaming news there.
See, this is great that James is watching, because you two were some of the real journalists that I worked with actual journalism backgrounds who did actual reporting. So James is fact checking for us right now. So
yeah, really,
that's nice to have. So a long time ago, I was having drinks with Johnny Wilson, who was the editor-in-chief of Computer Gaming World. And this was even before I was still in the business side of magazine publishing. I wasn't in editorial yet. And, he got really expensive whiskey, which was just beyond me at the time. And he looks at me and just seemingly out of nowhere, he said, "I'm an old man in a young man's job." And at the time I'm like, yeah, sure. I didn't know what to do with that then. Because I didn't know what video game editorial was like. And I didn't know what that side of the business was like at all. But years later, I did get to experience some of that. And you being someone I worked with who was older than me, I wanted to see what you thought, if there's any ageism in video games, video game journalism in particular.
I think there is some, to be honest. I mean, I have an awful lot to still offer to companies, but also I have the experience that, people think that they have to pay for. Why hire somebody at 70, 80,000 a year when you get 2, 3, or 4 eager young people trying to come into the profession for 20, 30, 40,000. So like I said, it's I understand the business side of it, but I think there are some people who are being left out because um, they are older. They can bring an awful lot of experience, perspective, um, to any job that needs good editorial people. But in the end, I think it comes down to the bottom line, and it's more of a business than it is trying to present a professional front. And that's nothing against the new people coming in. They need their
Right.
break, and there are some very good new people coming in. But it just kind of, there just unfortunately aren't enough good jobs to go around. And then if you do get hired at some of these good jobs, um, if there have to be cutbacks, those are usually the first cutbacks that happen. So again, it's the nature of the business, and I understand that. But it's also part of the reason why I'm working at Sam's Club right now.
Yeah, see that, I mean, stuff like that. There's so many people, a lot of our peers that are my age or younger that look up to you and like Andy Eddy. And when you can't get the jobs that we think you deserve, it pisses us off. And I don't know what to do with that. And I'm sure there are times you
I
don't
know,
know.
I know Andy went through a really rough stretch there for a long time, and
Yeah,
I think he ended up getting hired by Sony
he's
finally.
at Sony now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for a long stretch, I'm like, this is Andy freaking Eddie, and he has more experience.
Yeah, Andy's one of the few people in the industry who can claim to be older than I am. So like I said, I salute him, and he is amazing in terms of the knowledge that he brings, the just he brings a ton of positive to whatever job he's in.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you were talking about ageism from a company's hiring perspective. Have ever of you felt that amongst other journalists, that did they treat you differently, or did they not show you respect that you think you should have gotten?
Um, no, to be honest, no. I mean, of course, I was in it back when everybody, or when the games industry was still fairly new. And the fact that, you know, whenever we got together for industry events, even though we were competing with the likes of IGN and GameSpot and the magazines and everything like that, whenever all of us got together at industry events, um, I always was, felt respected by my peers, even though we were in competition for the stories and eyeballs and all that stuff. I still felt, I still have some amazing friends from the quote unquote competition,
Hmm.
and so I always did feel respected from those guys. And to be honest, a couple of them have come to bat for me in terms of, when I've been applying for jobs, they've given me references, even without me asking. And so I've definitely felt the love from the people that I know. There's some people out there who I know their names, I know their faces, but I don't know them very well, and so I can't say what they have said about me behind my back if they have even know who I am. But
Right.
uh, but like I said, again, what I don't know doesn't hurt me.
I mean, for my part, I am one of many people that for a long time looked up to you and always had incredible respect for you. Although in the office we did call you Gandalf.
Yeah,
But that was a
well,
cool thing because
I mean, look at me now. If I just grew my beard out a little bit more, I think I could pass for that. Get my white robe out of the closet.
hey,
And
we got to get you one of those staffs.
yeah, wait a minute, I do have a staff actually.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Um, no, I won't go get it. But the bottom line is that actually I'm more Gandalf the Gray right now than Gandalf the White. But so no, like I said, you guys, GameSpy was one of the most amazing times I've ever had in my life. I worked my ass off. We
You
all
did.
worked our asses off,
You
but it
did.
was fun. Oh my God, was it fun? The atmosphere at GameSpy, the work environment. Again, just one of the most fun places I've ever worked in my life.
There were some things that I didn't appreciate at the time that I wish I took more advantage of. Like Mark, our CEO, he paid for all our healthcare, which just seems insane now. Like we had full benefits that were covered entirely by the company, and I haven't I haven't applied to a place that covers full benefits.
Yeah, really. I remember walking in and Dana, you remember Virgin Mary?
I
Uh,
don't.
yeah, Dana was in charge of our HR at the time. While we were still small, and I had to go in and tell her what my healthcare requirements were, and what I needed. And so, like I said, that was one of my first experiences with the game industry. HR, and but like I said, we were still very small at the time, and that was actually probably the biggest gamble that I took, is that I went from an established newspaper where I worked for the Sun Sentinel in South Florida, and I was making good money there. And I jumped ship from a newspaper to a new company that, a new gaming company that was willing to take a chance on me, moved my whole family to California. And like I said, then I spent the next 20 plus years in gaming. So I've got like 40 plus years of journalism experience under my belt. So
It was a magical time, as you said. We worked hard. There are times now I don't know how we did it because
especially since, remember, we didn't have a content management system.
oh my god, we were hand coding. I
We
forgot.
were hand coding everything. And imagine hand coding during E3. I learned HTML on the fly, okay, because we had to hand code everything. And then we had to hand code it, upload it to the server, see what mistakes we had made, why it wasn't, because I don't think, did we have a test server for or a
We
staging
didn't
server?
have staging server. No.
Yeah, front page. I don't think we did. So I'm going to the front page after I upload something and then clicking on the page. Does this look right? Okay, good. Let's adjust this. Oh crap, I forgot an end bracket. It's like, everything was hand coded. And
Am I remembering this correctly that you wrote directly into the editor?
yes,
I was not brave enough to do that. Like
it's like I wrote directly into the editor, and be it right or wrong, that's what I did. Again, keep in mind, I wasn't used to coding, so I'm just doing what I knew to get the page out on time and update it. And again, trying to beat the competition. So
that seems so insane now. We were hand coding.
everybody has content management systems. Everybody has, or you can use some pre-established ones like WordPress, and
Yeah.
but coding on, yeah. I mean, heck, I remember like the first 2-3 years, or well, maybe it was just the first two, maybe, it was definitely the first three, where we would go to events like GDC and E3, and then Tokyo Game Show, because you were the one going to Tokyo Game Show for us. And we were, any stories that had to be sent back, we created a landing page for everything. We were always doing the top 100s, and
That's right.
we were doing all this stuff, and all of that had to be coded by hand. So it just, pictures had to be sized the right size.
Mhm.
No auto sizing of pictures. You had to become, fluent in Photoshop, or, because there wasn't View or any of these other ones that you could do
Yeah.
really quick. You had to do, what was available. So I became very well versed in Photoshop and, HTML coding, and, I mean, I can't do a game by any stretch, but at least I was able to get a website out. So.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. I can't believe that was the case at that time. Now, I want to talk about me. And specifically,
Oh, sure. Let's go ahead.
I there have been many situations that I created that were difficult for you as my manager. I think enough time has passed that I just want to see how much of a pain in the ass was I to manage, and what situations made you want to pull your hair out.
You had an incredible bulk of knowledge when it came to consoles, and that's why you were head of the console team. And so, I was I knew that I could trust you with whatever we had to do when it came to console coverage. However, there was this one time, I forgot, was it during E3? I think,
Are we talking about
or Microsoft event?
Oh no, this was GDC. GDC.
Oh, GDC. Okay.
Yeah.
Where you and you were the first one who was starting. Was it podcast format, or were we actually doing video?
We're doing video. We were shooting a video with Jay Allen.
It was our very first foray into video. And so you were the one going around with a microphone, and I forgot how we were putting the cameras on tripods and all this other stuff. So you would do the video interviews for us, and a lot of the stuff you came up with was really good. It was getting good hits, but then there was one time where I didn't see what happened, but all of a sudden I started getting these really, really weird messages from Microsoft PR. And saying we've got a problem with Ray, and we have, he just did an interview with Jay Allard, and we need to talk to you about it. And I'm going like, oh crap, what happened? And then I go back and watch the interview, and I'm like, Ray, what did you do? And like I said, I forgot the exact details about it, but it was one of those probably one of the most interesting interviews. That's one of the most interesting interviews I've ever seen you do.
Well, I remember Zoe they were doing a thing with sharks for their promos. I don't remember why, but at one point Zoe threw one of the sharks at Jay's head.
And remember, Jay was like really, really bigwig in Microsoft.
Oh yeah, he was like executive vice president or something. He was in charge of Xbox.
Yeah, and it's like we were getting the PR was throwing terms around like disrespectful and all this other stuff, and I'm going like, no, that's not what these guys don't do that. And like I said, it just really caught me off guard. And then when I go back and look at it, I'm going like, Ray, we need to talk, buddy. So
for my part, right after the camera stopped rolling, he said Jay himself said it was fun and unique, and he thought it was really interesting. And Genevieve, who was handling him at the time, said that he just did like a 180 like 5 minutes later, and like, what did I just do kind of thing. So I don't know what the deal was there.
Yeah, well, like I said, that was probably the only bump in the road in yours and my relationship, was that I had to take the fully professional road and admonish you and
I totally understand. I thought, although this didn't fall on you as much as it did. Do you remember that time when I was banned from the Ubisoft San Francisco office?
Vaguely. You're gonna have to fill me in on that one.
I had written a column about Prince of Persia and Beyond Good and Evil being these incredible games that did not sell well in America because of poor marketing. And the Ubisoft people in France and Montreal went to the US office and see, you guys did a bad job. And the VP of marketing for America flipped and banned me from the building.
Yeah, but see that I don't have a problem with, because you were giving an opinion that and you were, and if I remember correctly, you were backing it up. It wasn't just it wasn't on the fly. And I had no problem. there's stuff like that I don't have a problem with, because that triggers a memory too, where I got a call from Pete Hines about something that we wrote about Morrowind. I think it was either a Morrowind review or something like that. And Pete was really pissed off about something we had in the review, and it was more the opinion of the review. And I'm going, listen, Pete, I love you, man, but did we get any of the facts wrong? And he said, no, the facts are correct. I says, then you can't come back to me and complain about an opinion. If the guy doesn't, we're not going to couch our opinions just because, you guys get your feathers ruffled. And like I said, there were plenty of times I had to cover our guys for some of their opinions, that we either bucked the trend or whatever, because PR people were getting flack that we weren't conforming to what should have happened. And we had
Hey,
Christian, oh my gosh, we were just talking about you. I haven't talked to you in forever. So yeah, there were plenty of times where I had to deal with PR.
that's hilarious.
There are plenty of times where I had to deal with PR and tell them, hey, I'll change. If we got the facts wrong, we'll fix it. But if you're pissed at us about an opinion, sorry, you'll just have to be pissed at us. And they threatened to pull coverage or pull, our invites to events. They wouldn't send us games. And I'm going, okay, I've got budget where we can buy games. We'll get our information from press releases and our inside contacts, and we'll do it how we have to. But we're not going to change our opinion just because you're threatening us.
I personally thought it was cool that I was banned from a building. I didn't know that I had that kind of that my columns had that much sway.
Well, that actually was an actual pat on the back to GameSpy in general, that we were getting big enough.
Yeah, someone was paying attention.
That our opinion mattered enough to them to ban us. So yeah. Good job, Ray. Good job.
So that did get resolved. I think 2 years later at DICE. Tiffany Spencer brought the VP over to talk to me, and we're drinking at like this club on the 50th floor of the Palms or something. And the guy, Tony, he's a tall, pretty muscular guy. And I'm like, he's going to throw me off the roof. But Tiffany got us talking. We made up, and I was allowed back in the building. So thank you, Tiffany. That was nice.
Yeah. God, I'll share with you another situation where I inadvertently got a developer in trouble. Before I was actually hired at GameSpy, I was doing some, the game Homeworld, was coming out, an RTS, and it was being done by Alex Garden.
Right.
And I worked for the newspaper at the time. And so but GameSpy had contracted me to review the game. And as a journalist, if I'm reviewing a game, I said, sure, why not? Let's call the developer, and we'll get an interview to go with it along the side. So I call Alex, and I go through their front desk, and I get to talk to Alex, and we had a really good interview. Published that on GameSpy alongside the review. Well, about a year later, I was, when I'm now working at GameSpy, I get an invite to an event where Alex is, and Alex pulled me aside and he said, "Do you remember that Homeworld interview that we did?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "That's one of the things that helped get me the job. It was so candid. It was such a good." He said, "I got into so much trouble for that." I'm going, "Why?" He said, "Well, apparently you didn't go through the proper channels, because apparently we have, you have to go through PR." Well, as a journalist, working for a newspaper, you didn't go through PR. You go directly to the source, And so this was one of my first little educational pieces about, when you're in the games industry, you have to go through PR. You can't go
Right.
directly to the developer. You can't go directly to you can't go to the publisher, but you can't go directly to the developer. He said, yeah, I got into so much trouble for that interview. And so we would always joke about that. Then when, I see him every time after that, I says, hey, you want to do an interview?
Well, Christian is still here. I just wanted to flash this photo again.
Yeah.
Oh, good
Back when we
times.
were all younger, so much younger.
Man, I wish I had the knees I had back then.
What is that? Is that 2001, 2002?
Two or three, 2002 or three.
Yeah. God, you guys were a good team. You guys were a good team.
Good times. And of course, Christian loves the photo.
Yes. So, but how are things going with you? I mean, like I said, you've been catching up with me. How are you doing?
I moved to Nevada. I thought I wanted to do the normal thing, normal life, settle down, normal job. We were talking about how hard we worked at GameSpy. I wanted to try like a strictly 9 to 5 thing that I didn't take home with me at all. All of these things were a mistake. I miss California tremendously. In the video game business, I've always felt like no matter what room I was in, I've always felt like I'm the dumbest person here, or at least bottom 5%. In Nevada, I feel like a goddamn genius. I'm like, oh, this is why the state's ranked 49th in education. I see. No, but I mean, it's not all bad. I have a nice house. Weather is fantastic. I haven't driven in traffic in years. Health-wise,
don't have to worry about the 405 or the 5. And
yeah. Oh my God. Jeez.
yeah,
Health-wise, I could be better. I have health things, not as serious as what you and Marcus are going through, but I have an immune thing that affects my joints. So I've had we could have races on our walkers. You can see who gets there faster.
it sucks getting old, doesn't it, man? Whoa.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I said, I miss the games industry. I mean, thank goodness for James, who's helping keep me involved in it. And I work with Scott Steinberg. He still gives me some mock reviews to do, and I do some editing on some of the books that he puts out. But that's really my only involvement with journalism these days. I do have an agent who, if I ever decide that I want to write a book, but unfortunately, I'm just not. I haven't been motivated enough to sit down and put word to paper.
Right. You've mentioned the book before, and you have so many incredible stories to tell. I'd love to see it.
Yeah. I've got a lot of stories, and it's just you go through these bouts where they're why would anybody want to read what I have to say? It's the old depression type of thing where you just kind of don't count your worth, but.
I can empathize, but I mean, like the Alex Garden story you're telling, that's a fantastic story. I'd love to see a collection of those in a book. I think that would be great.
Yeah, like I said, I do have a lot of them. I've got a wonderful Warren Spector story. Again, a lot of my stories have to do with when I was first coming into the industry. But that Warren Spector story was back when. They were back in 2000 when they were doing Deus Ex, and the original Deus Ex, not the console version, but the one for the PC.
Right.
And it was my first junket, so to speak. I went out to Austin, and they would show us around, and I'd known Warren through his games like System Shock. This was another one of those. Types of things where you meet one of the people who you've idolized for a long time, and then actually meeting them in person as a journalist for the first time, it was really, really interesting. But one thing, after the event was over and after we'd done all the, gotten our screenshots and gotten, all the information, all that other stuff, they took us out to dinner. And this is where I learned that how much the gaming industry loves to drink. Uh, because I'm not a drinker. I don't, so all of my colleagues and some of the people for some of the dev team, they all went over. They were starting drinking. They were having all kinds of fun, and I just kind of pulled Warren aside and I just say, listen, I'm not into the drinking. I says, can we sit and talk? And he says, sure. And we had the most wide-ranging discussion, ranging from his inspirations using D&D. He told me he still has an original D&D character sheet from when he used to play.
Oh wow!
He told me about how some of his D&D experiences or some of his RPG experiences had made their way into Deus Ex and all that other stuff. And I mean, I got some great perspectives. And I asked him, I says, can this be on the record? And he said, sure. So, I mean, while everybody else was having fun, getting drunk, I'm getting myself another really great story about, how some really big names use everyday experiences to put into the games and make some fantastic experiences for the gamers themselves. So like I said, while everybody was getting drunk, I was having fun talking to Warren. And after that, again, it was a really good bonding experience for Warren and I, because we were about the same age. So like I said, we hit it off, and I was able to, he was one of the guys where I could contact directly as long as it wasn't, as long as it was off the record.
Right.
And he would, always give me off the record perspectives and things like that. So, like I said, that was a fun experience also.
And the good part is that when you hired me, I drank enough for the both of us.
That's true. That's true.
People. So you mentioned Chris Taylor, Warren Spector. Who are some of the other people that you've gotten to meet in the games business that, it really excited you?
Peter Molyneux. I really loved Peter Molyneux. Peter got a bad rap for some of his games being overambitious and he, but every time I met him, you could just tell the passion in his voice he had for games. And it was so funny watching him with his PR. Anytime I would talk to him, obviously PR would be there. At the time, his PR was Kathy Campos. And so one time we were talking about Black and White, his new ambitious God game. And so we were talking, and I forgot exactly what we were talking about, but he's going on about, and you'll be able to do this, and you'll be able to do this. And all of a sudden I see Kathy, get this kind of frantic look on her face. And she goes, Peter, and Peter keeps talking, and I'm listening, and and all of a sudden I feel the table shake, and I think she actually kicked him under the table. But it was like, he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I probably said too much," but it was like, again, it was fun because you could know he really had the sincere interest to do it right. But when the time came, I think his vision sometimes just outweighed what they could do technically. And that was E3s were always fun because you could tell who was well coached in what they could say and what they couldn't say, and then you could always tell the guys who just had this passion, who just would love to talk and love to do all the different things, but just might not be able to. So
I've always appreciated that he was brave enough to try many of the things that he did, that he had the creativity and ambition. Maybe it didn't always pan out the way he wanted it, but I think people like him are necessary to push the business forward.
Yeah.
But you were talking about PR people. As a journalist, you've gotten to work with hundreds of PR people. Let's stay in a positive tip. Are there any PR people that you appreciate in particular and would like to give a shout out to?
Oh my God, there are a lot of them. There really are. Um, let's see. The very first one I want to shout out to definitely is Marcus Beer, who I think when I first met him, he was at Ubisoft, I think. Um, but definitely Marcus. He's going through his own battle right now. But cheers, Marcus. I wish you all the best. He
Was
was
he at
great.
before? Was he at Novalogic before Ubi or?
Yeah, you're right. He was at NovaLogic because he was handling the flight sims, a lot of the flight sims. But then he went to Ubi. So you're right.
Yeah.
Uh, then Chel Vistad,
Yeah.
who's now working for 1PR. He was working for IDOS at the time, and his partner in crime, Denny Chu. Um, but it was funny. One of my now favorite PR people. She's such a good person, Jeannie Wong, who she worked. She was head of EA PR, and I didn't know. I was actually a little intimidated by Jeannie in the very beginning because she was always so professional and everything like that. But I got to know her real well when I was arranging an exclusive for Battle for Middle Earth, the new RTS that they were creating. And she and I would talk practically every day, hashing out types of coverage that we would do. The plan where we did like a week of coverage, and we were having one or two stories every day, and coordinating trips. And she and I became really, really good friends after that. And I still keep in touch with her, and she's now head of 1PR. Uh, so like I said, Jeannie's fantastic. Uh, and I feel bad naming names because I know I'm going to leave a few out.
I remember you worked closely with Sarita on several projects.
Yeah, Sarita with Ubisoft was fantastic as well, and she ended up marrying one of my dear friends who was a developer, Ken Rossman. So yes, I keep in touch with them on a regular basis. Absolutely love Sarita, and love Ken, aka Batman. And like I said, there really are a lot of people. You had mentioned
Genevieve, I brought up before with the
Genevieve. Genevieve. She worked with Microsoft, and then she worked with Bungie. And Genevieve is amazing. Genevieve and I always have a story because one of the things that when I become friends with PR people, I don't, I ask about their families. And at the time, Genevieve's mom was really sick, and so I would just reach out to her, non work related, and just say, hey, how you doing? How's your mom? And everything like that. I said, tell your mom I said hi. So now every time I talk to Genevieve, I said, hey, how's your mom doing? And her mom, even though I've never met her mom, she says, mom says to say hi.
That's awesome.
So like I said, it's Genevieve is amazing. Like I said, so many people I've met through the years. And like I said, as much as I love the games industry and I love the games, it's the people. There are just some absolutely amazing people in this industry that have really helped shape my outlook, not only on games, but on life. And even a lot of when I got cancer, even so many of my friends from the games industry, um, just, reached out. One of my, Ken Levine, who worked,
Yeah.
Ken Levine reached out to me. He was amazing. I think he's now working for Ghost Games, but the BioShock stuff, and BioShock.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, like I said, and who else? There was uh, there's one of my old bosses when I got sick with cancer. One of my old bosses at Shack News, Asif Khan, aka Productive Citizen, was uh, take care, Christian. Take care. Um, so he did a cast for me and raised some money for me to help me because obviously I couldn't work and help me pay my rent for a couple months. And so, like I said, I just can't put into words the how great people, even though I'm not in games, just all the friends that I've made throughout my time in games has just been amazing.
I mean, you might not be in it full time right now, but you're always part of that family.
Yeah, and that's I honestly do feel included as part of the family because, like I said, I still keep in touch with Tal Blevins, one of my arch enemies at IGN at the time. We held the same post at the at competing publications, and but Tal was one of those people. Even though we were competitors, he is an amazing friend. So like I said, they're just I got to stop naming names because I'm going to forget people, and I don't want to do that. But like,
oh yeah, I totally understand. I will shift gears then. Your children's names are John and Taylor, if I remember correctly.
Very good. Yes.
Okay. So Father's Day is coming up, and I know that John and Taylor know that they have an amazing dad, but maybe they don't know this aspect of you as someone that worked with you and someone that was managed by you. I wanted to say thank you. I know that there are many times when I could have been a pain to manage. I was young at the time. I was creative. I was ambitious, and I was too dumb to know how to fail. But you guided me. You encouraged me to grow as a worker, but also as a person. You gave me space. You let me take more credit than maybe I deserved, and you should have gotten some of the credit that I received. But you never seemed to have a problem with that. You let me shine and grow, and I appreciate so many of the things that you've done for me. So I hope they know that in addition to having an amazing parent, that their dad was amazing to work with and to work for. And that's something I'll always appreciate. So thank you, John.
I appreciate that very much. It's yeah, I never really got into games to make a name for myself or whatever. I mean, I really liked the mentor type of label. I mean, I was brought in. When I was brought in, Darren made it clear that I'm coming in to teach, I'm coming in to educate, I'm coming in to guide. And I never if people knew who I was out in fandom, that was nice. But to me, it was all about you guys. You guys were the ones out there, making your name. I'm the one who's supposed to work behind the scenes to make the site better. So thank you to you guys who bled, sweat and tears and all that other stuff to make GameSpy what it was. I mean, I may have been running things, but you guys were the ones who put word to paper. Yeah, I did my share of writing, but nowhere near as much as you guys did. And you guys were just such an amazing integral part of GameSpy, and all the sites that I've worked for have had some really good, fun, talented, intelligent people just talking about their passion. And like I said, thank you for being one of the people who I can call a friend.
Now, James, if you're still watching, I hope how was that in terms of, I wanted that to be heartfelt and sentimental, but not get into the mawkish territory. So, James, if you could review that, I'd love to know what you think. I meant every word of it, but it's always, there's always that fine line where you want to say something that you really mean, but you don't want it to be cheesy, right? So I hope I stayed on the right side of that line.
Hey, I appreciate it. It was, it
That's
was
what
good.
means the most.
So like I said, it's always nice to get stories like that, or because like I said, that to me, that's how I never really cared about awards, or I never really cared about, if you guys won an award, to me, I got the award because, like I said, you guys were my family, you guys were my kids, and if you guys succeeded, then I succeeded. So it was, that's why I always tried to push you guys to the forefront. If you guys screwed up, I tried to give. There was this one time where, uh, uh, when Sterling was handling PS2 for us, I forgot. Somehow we accidentally broke an embargo, and I had to call him into my office, and I had to ask him what happened. And okay, that's no problem. Mistakes happen. Because I think it was Ubisoft who raked us over the coals for it. And less than a week later, we break another embargo with Ubisoft. Less than a week later. And oh my God, that was one of the few times where I really went off on somebody, poor Sterling. But like I said, it was one of those things where, um, even if I got mad, I tried to, couch it in a way that we could make it a learning experience. How do we not make the same mistake again?
Right.
And so, like I said, I mean, I did. It's kind of like I treat, Taylor and John. It's like, sometimes they have to fall on their face before, they get their own. You can tell them things until you're blue in the face, but sometimes they have to fall on their face and pick themselves up, dust themselves off before they finally said, "Oh yeah, Dad was right." It's like, so you kind of plant the seed and hope it grows, somewhere down the road.
I mean, there's a lot of things we can see clearly looking through the retroscope.
Yeah.
The
old 2020 hindsight.
Yeah. So that's, man, can't believe it's been that long, huh? 20 plus years.
Geez, 22 years now. Of course, I was at GameSpy for 7 years. So I left for Crispy Gamer after IGN bought us. And let's see. Yeah, so yeah, it's been 22 years. 15 years after I left.
And if I have one wish, I do wish that someone would take you as a full-time hire in editorial. Very few things would make me happier in the gaming business.
I would love to stay in the gaming business. I'm not sure whether I have the stamina to manage anymore, but I would love to write because I miss doing research and doing that stuff. And like I said, I'm working in produce at Sam's Club, and as much as I enjoy that, that it gets me out of the house and lets me interact with people, which is really important for me because I live by myself.
Right.
So, but yeah, I do miss the writing. I miss games in general. I still play. I'm still playing Master of Orion. I'm playing a mobile game called Ebony. I still play Faster Than Light, FTL. A lot of the older strategy games.
Are there anything, since you're have to quarantine for a little bit for COVID, is there anything you want to catch up on game wise?
Well, I've been playing Borderlands 3. Borderlands 3. I do want to try out Teeny Tina's Wonderland, and like I said, there are a couple other ones. I do have to catch up on some movies. I want to go see Maverick, and I've got to catch up on Obi-Wan, and a lot of Disney Plus stuff coming out, and Chippendales
That's
Rescue.
right, Rescue Rangers. Oh, I
And
totally forgot to use this. I wanted to start out our conversation with this.
Hello there.
So,
hello there.
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I do have a lot to catch up on. It's just a matter of trying to find time, unfortunately. Well, like I said, fortunately, because I am employed and I'm paying the rent. But unfortunately, because I work 40 hours a week, it kind of takes its toll on me. So
Yeah.
I do it when I do have my days off. It's more resting, recuperating, finding time to clean the apartment, do my laundry,
But
get the dogs
since
out for a
we,
walk, things like
since
that.
we laid up with COVID for a while, I wanted people to bug you on Twitter, say hello to John, send him messages. If you learned anything about him through this conversation, send him some follow-ups. I'm sure he has more.
That's one thing that I love. If anybody has any questions or just wants any knowledge in general, I love being uh, I like I said, I like the mentor role. I like to teach. I like to help people however I can. So if I can help you in any way, short of giving you money, let me know.
That's excellent. And I think we're going to exit on that fine note. But John, thank you for hanging out and joining.
Thanks for having me, Ray. I appreciate it very much.
And everyone that watched, whether you're watching live or watching the replay, thanks so much. Please like, subscribe. All my social media stuff is on the bottom there. Follow, like, subscribe. And thanks so much for watching RPadTV.